Okay, I wanted to take this opportunity to do a quick demo in regards to some of our campus geodatabase project for this week, parts 3 through 6. Um, the beginning parts of this exercise have you georeference some campus CAD data. I'm not going to demonstrate that as you've done that several times this semester already, and I've demoed it as well. So we're just going to jump right in to to a step where we've already georeferenced the CAD data, and what we want to do is select out some features out of the CAD data and convert them to a feature class in our geodatabase. So this is actually step 5 in your assignment for this week. There's parts 3 through 6, and this is part 5. So what we want to do is create 3 feature classes from this CAD data. I'll probably just demonstrate the first 2. The buildings feature class we're going to create, and a feature class showing the roads and the parking lots throughout campus. So here's the CAD data, and let's look around at it a little bit. And the first thing I want to point out is that this CAD data is a great start to modeling our campus. However, the CAD data is dated. With all the construction that's gone on campus in the past year to 2, it's become a lot more dated than it used to be. It never included the Balsam Computer Technology Center here, which is the building that I'm in and where our GIS lab is. It's never had that building in it. That building was built after this CAD data was created. So also this parking lot going around is not part of it. This building here has been it's been torn down. That's the old rhododendron building. You'll see as we move over here, there's a parking lot going in here. And as we move over this way, this tennis court, if we look at, I'm looking at the 2010 photos, and if you look at the 2015 photos, you'll see that tennis court and this area here have become our parking deck and our event center. The Magnolia building here is not in it. You can see a lot of parking lots that are not part of the data, and you can see how the campus is updated and evolved over time. And so we're going to try to model the campus based on this 2015 data as closely as we can. So um, let's let's just look at some of the layers that we're working with here. I asked you to symbolize the data based on unique features by layer. And if you identify, you'll see there's a layer for buildings. And if we look around, you'll see it's made of what we hope are closed polylines, and we'll figure that out when we get to the topology part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the buildings and convert them to a feature class in my geodatabase. So let's go to select by attributes, and in my polyline feature class, I want to select for layer equal to building. Click OK, and there they are. It looks pretty good. There's this missing building. There was a little building there that before, a little house that's still there. And you can see the CAD data includes part of rhododendron, even though that whole thing has been torn down. We'll have to get rid of it. It's got some of this building, but this building's been updated since the CAD data. So again, the CAD data is a good start, but we're going to have to edit it and work with it to make it better. You can see this building, the Birch building, is actually pretty well modeled. So let's just right click this and go to data and export data. And before I do that, I think what I'll do is I'm going to create a feature data set to put this information in. I know that we're going to apply some topology rules to this data. So in order to apply topology rules to the data, we need to have our feature classes in a feature data set, and the topology rule has to be in the feature data set. So I'm going to call this campus topo for campus topology. Oh, we just call it campus topology. Now in the exercise, it's not written up that you do this first. I have you export the feature classes to your database and then move them into a feature data set. I'll update the assignment so that we create this campus topology feature data set first, and that way we don't have to move the data once it's already in. So let's import the spatial reference from an existing layer that we have. It's important that we get our spatial reference information correct, because all of the feature classes that go in a feature data set must have the same spatial reference. So we'll pick state plane NAD83 because that's what we're working with, and we'll finish it up. And there's our campus topology feature data set. So now I'll export my buildings, these selected features in my CAD data, and I'm going to put them in the course folder for this course, which I'm having a tough time finding. There it is. In my campus topology feature data set, and I'm going to call this buildings line, because these are lines. I don't want to call it buildings because eventually I'm going to have a feature class called buildings that are polygons, and so this is kind of an intermediate data set. So I'll click save there, and yes, I'll go on and add my buildings feature class from my database to the map. Let's go ahead and clear the selection, and let's turn off our photo here for a second and look around at what we got going on. So you can see from these photos that the road network goes through the campus and into parking lots and on to other places. Some of it needs to be updated where the roads have been changed, but essentially is one big continuous polygon that we'll make, and it is going to eventually, when we get everything selected out of it, it'll look like this example in the map. So it's kind of this one continuous polygon. The thing is, though, you'll notice there's some different colors here. So since these are symbolized by the layer that they're on, you'll be able to see that the CAD technician that built this data put some of the information on a layer called roads paved, and then there's some information on a layer called curbs. And so in order to pull all this data out, we need to select the curbs and the roads paved. And if I look around a little bit, you'll see that getting the roads and the curbs will sometimes give you too much data. In this case, we don't really need both of those, but we're going to have to get them both, because up here we have to get curbs. Down here we could really do without the curbs and still make a polygon, but we're going to have to get both. So I've investigated this data pretty closely, and I was looking for any other features that I might need to pull out that would help us to construct our roads and parking lots layer. And so there's curbs there, that's roads paved. Look over here, and that layer, that feature right there is on a layer called walls. That's a wall that goes down this whole side of this parking lot. And so that part of that parking lot is modeled in that walls layer. So to select out as much of the parking lots as we can and roads, we need to do a selection by attributes, and we need to select for, let's clear our selection, we need layer equals curb or layer equals roads paved or layer equals walls. So if we apply that, it did not work. And what happened? Equals curb. I missed an equals right there. That's invalid syntax. I'm going to apply that, and you'll see that looks like it gets most of what we need. So of course there's some weird places we're going to have to edit to close these things, and there's actually a lot of gaps we're going to have to fix, as well as the parking lots. So we're at least well on our way. So let's convert these to a feature class. We're going to go to data and export data, and from there we're going to call this What did I tell you to call it? Roads underscore lots. All right. Click save. Okay. And yes, let's go on and add it to our map. So now if I turn everything else off, the CAD data that is, I can look at my roads and my lots. I'll make those red so we can see them well. And let's also change our buildings to something we can see well, like yellow. There you go. All right, so look at that. We've got this data that came from a CAD layer, CAD data set, CAD drawing data set, and now we've built it into some data. So we could do heads-up digitizing and digitize all of the parking lots and roads on campus, and we're going to have to digitize a lot of them. But this at least gives us a good start, so that we don't have to do every bit of it from scratch. There's all kinds of missing stuff, like this parking lot and this parking lot, which are new since the CAD data. So there's a lot of editing of this data that needs to be done. And now that the data is in a Geodatabase feature class, we're able to start an edit session and edit the data. When it's in a CAD format, we can't edit the data. CAD data is a read-only format in ArcGIS. So let's look at the topology rules here. Since our feature classes are in a feature data set, we can create a topology rule, and what we want to do is find all the gaps. And here's some little gaps that you may not even see with the human eye, but the topology rules will show us those gaps. We need to fix all these little gaps, and we also need to fix bigger gaps and holes as well as we go through the data. For instance, there's some places where you don't need a topology rule to tell that it needs to be fixed. Like in these cases, these roads are going into someone else's property. We need to just close that off and get rid of these lines. We need to close this off and get rid of those lines. And see, these parking lots we need to fix and close. So some of the errors you can see with the naked eye, but some of them you cannot. So let's go and make a new topology in our feature data set. So I'll right click the feature data set and I made a new topology. This wizard will help us build a new topology. The topology allows you to model the integrated behavior of different data types. So let's click next. We're going to let it call it campus topology. Topology is fine. It names it based on this the feature data set. Maybe I should have named that something else, so topology wasn't in here twice, but that's okay. We'll take the default cluster tolerance. Notice this is a very small number, 3/1000ths of a foot, based on the state plane feet coordinate system we're working in. And we're going to do buildings and roads and lots. And essentially, we're going to do a pretty simple rule here. The ranks don't matter because we're going to, these buildings and the roads, I guess we could change a rank, but let's just leave them even so things won't move to match each other. We need to manually do that in this method. So I need to add a rule. And on the buildings, I'm going to say that they must not have a gap. Maybe. Must not overlap. Must be covered by. Must not have dangles. So that's the actual rule I was looking for. I was saying a gap, but the rule is must not have dangles. So anywhere two lines aren't coincident and connect, snap together, it'll show it as an error. We're going to do the same thing for the roads and lots. Must not have dangles. So it shows us our cluster tolerance, our feature class properties, and our rules. When I click finish, it creates the new topology. It's then going to ask us if we want to add the topology and if we want to validate the topology. So if we validate the topology, it's going to go through and it's going to mark every dangle as an error. We could load it into ArcMap and then do it for smaller areas, That's an effective strategy if you've got a really huge data set and you don't want to validate the whole thing at one time. In this case, let's just go on and validate it. And I thought it would automatically add it. It didn't. So I'll go on and add this topology to the map. And it's going to ask us if we want to add these feature classes that participate in the topology to the map. In this case, we don't because they're already in the map. Okay, so I'm going to click no. So there's my topology, and you can see these errors. Okay, so we need to fix a lot of errors. It's going to take a while, and you need to get to work on this as quickly as possible. So if we look around here, we'll see that some of the errors are going to be really easy to fix, like these two lines. So if we start an edit session on my file Geodatabase, I'm going to continue. You'll see that these two lines, although they look like they snap, whoops, what happened there? They apparently do not. So let's move this off, and then let's bring it back, and let's ensure that it snaps. All right. Now, after you fix an error like that, what you want to do is revalidate. So we need to open our topology toolbar. It's already open. Where is it? The topology toolbar is on my other screen over here, so I'll bring it in. And what I want to do is validate the topology for my current extent. And it did not fix it. Remember, we were having problems with these before. Okay, so I didn't quite snap it like I thought I did there. So let's get right there. Roads lots endpoint. And now I'll try to revalidate again in my current extent. And the error is gone away. So some of these are, like I said, they are so small that you can't even see it with the naked eye. So some of them are obvious like this. So we can select that and snap it there. The errors still show. These two, I'm simply going to delete the whole thing. We don't need those at all. It gets interesting in here. I'm going to delete that and that and that and that. Now, and what we want to do here, let's just keep deleting because I want to, there's a little edge there. I'm going to delete that, and then I'm going to snap this guy to there. Get rid of that guy. Okay. So now I'm going to revalidate and see what happens. Some of them go away when you delete the whole feature, the errors, but let's revalidate in our current extent. You'll see those two go away. Now, back to the curb thing. It would have been kind of nice if we didn't need the curbs at all, but some places the curbs create this double line feature thing. Where that's the case, you can just get rid of the whatever part is easiest to get rid of. You don't have to recreate all of these actual little areas where the curbs are. And you could tighten this up a little bit if you wanted. It's not a huge deal that's perfect. But I'm going to just kind of move it up like that. Okay. And so there we go. I'm cleaning up the data as I go. And those are some examples of fixing this data. Let's validate again. And you can see errors are just going away as I go. There's a lot of editing that you will do to fix these. Here's a good example of one. If I turn off the errors, you wouldn't be able to see that that is a dangle. So that's a really good example of why the topology rules are so valuable. If you can't see an error, and there's hundreds of them to fix, these tools are really good for finding them. So I just snap that and I'll revalidate. Now you don't have to revalidate as often as I have been stepping through this so far. But for now, I was just showing you the revalidate tool. So let's get rid of this. I'm just drug a box and just deleted it all. I'm gonna get rid of a lot of this. So all of this is wrong. I'm dragging a box and deleting. All right, so where there's a lot of problems, you can just delete a bunch of stuff and start over again. So let's if the curbs are built in like these curbs and there's not a problem with them, I just leave them. Right? There's a little problem up here, but it's probably easier to fix this little problem than to delete the whole thing. So let's see if I can snap that just to make sure. No, I'm not sure exactly what the problem is there, but oh, yep, there it is. Now, there is a tool on the advanced editing toolbar. If you turn on your advanced editing toolbar, you can extend lines to the next line. That's this extend tool. The extend tool extends a line to an intersection with another line. So select the feature that you want to extend the lines to, and then click the line that you want to extend. So I want to extend it to here. Then I click that, and it doesn't work. Let's zoom in a little bit more. I want to extend it to that. Why isn't it working? So if that tool doesn't work for you, you can always just double click your line with your edit tool, get the vertex and move it down. We'll look at that tool again and see what we can figure out about it. So that error is still there because we haven't validated. So again, sometimes the curbs are easier to delete out and sometimes they're easier to leave in. Do whichever is the quickest. But you'll get to points where you need to redigitize. Let's get rid of that. And I'm going to open my create features window here, and I'm going to add to my roads and my lots. Oops. Control Z to get rid of that. Go to here. I'm going to switch my tools. I've got my editor tools here. And I'm going to draw a little curve there and then go back to my straight line tool. Go there. And I'm going to double click there to connect to that. So just like that, I'm starting to recreate some of this data and build data back into it. So I need to create some more line features on my roads. There. You'll be a little bit off from the photos. Just do the best you can. Being perfect is not the point of this. The point is to learn the tools. F2 finishes an edit sketch. Okay, so you may need to review and freshen up on your editing skills, and you will do that from the Esri e-learning site. If you took GIS 111 here, you took an editing course in the virtual campus. So you may need to retake that to better to get your editing skills down before you do too much here. And I am going to continue to demo to hopefully help you understand how some of these editing tools work. That's the AB Tech campus. That's one of our parking lots, and this is not one of our parking lots. Now, as you need help with this, you can look at our campus map on the AB Tech website to figure out what is owned by our campus and what is not. There's a lot of doctor's offices, around close to us that are not ours, something like that. I could just grab this and stretch it all the way over to that one. All right. Okay, so hopefully you're kind of getting the feel for what this editing process looks like. It is it's time consuming, and but it's a valuable skill to have. Um, this is the old Pines building. I'm looking at the 2010 photos now. I'm going to turn on the 2015 photos and notice what happens. That Pines building got torn down, and now we have this new building here called the healthcare building. Notice that the whole parking lot's different. So you can get rid of all this stuff. Not that road, that's still there. But you can get rid of all this parking lot, and you're going to have to redraw this parking lot in here. So there's a lot of editing and digitizing that's about to go on. And, you know, as a joke, I often tell people that I have such good editing skills, and I would not wish my editing skills on my worst enemy, because it's not the funnest or most glamorous GIS skill to have. It is very important. I am able to modify and build data and create data because I've done it a lot. I've spent a lot of time with the editing tools, and you are about to do the same. So as you go, make sure and save your edits as you go. It's very important to save your edits as you go. Saving your map document does not save your edits. Make sure to save your edits, and make sure to save them often. I'm going to stop editing for now, and I just saved so it didn't ask me. I'm going to stop for now, and I'll come back to this and do some more editing demo on this data, hopefully tomorrow, to give you some more pointers and insights on how it works, and give you essentially some little tips and hints at how to best digitize and edit this data. So get in there and get started, and expect another video showing some different, some advanced, some tricks, some different editing tools coming up soon. All right. Let me know if you have any questions.